God only knows what you've been through. God only knows what they say about you. God only knows how it's killing you. But there's a kind of love that God only knows. God only knows what you've been through. God only knows what they say about you. But God only knows the real you. There's a kind of love that God only knows.
Welcome to Season 2, Episode 67 of Your Journey Is Not Over. My name is Tanya Pearson Randolph. This is my own personal journey, and the expressions and opinions are of my own. I own all the rights to my personal journey and to Your Journey Is Not Over. Neither are to be used, copied, or edited in any way without my consent. Getting right back to January 13th, 2020. It was a long day with a lot of twists and turns and very little answers. The general manager did give me the consent form that was illegal and full of false information. Truly, I think for me not to be acknowledged in any way at all, first in my real dad's obituary just a year prior, and now this. At that time, more traumatizing than most would care to guess. Now looking back, it ended exactly how it begun for me. They neither one wanted to be parents when I was born, and I was never validated as their daughter my whole life. So what would change it during their death, right? Again, back then, I think I truly needed that, just to feel like somebody's daughter, be acknowledged for once in my life by either of them. Now I see it like I said. It ended exactly how it begun for me. And I am somebody's daughter. I'm God's daughter, and He acknowledges me and validates me every moment of my life. His validation is all that I need. Yes, He had help sending me here on this earth, but He never gave up sole custody of me. And He's fought for me, has had my back, been loyal, gave me unconditional love through the good, the bad, and the ugly. He's never wavered, nor would He ever. That's all that I need in a parent, and I found all of that in Him, our Father. What do they say? Sometimes you overlook what's right in front of our faces. I was seeking validation my whole life, not only from my parents, but many others in my life. And along this yellow brick road, my healing journey, I have discovered that I don't need others to validate me, my life. God's love is all the validation that I need. He is the only one that can validate me. He is my creator, our Father. So getting ready to leave the mortuary that day, I knew once I left, I would never step one foot back in that building. How could I? So many of my family members had services there. It was a building where at times my whole family would be together, sharing our memories and our grief. What once was a respected place had become so sinister to me. I seen their ad not too long ago. I ran across it on my Facebook feed, and it said, "Every journey deserves to be told with integrity." I can't contain myself, the true speaker that I am. And I don't move with malice, but I do speak the truth as gracefully as I can. Like my grandma taught me, speak and move with grace, then others are more apt to listen. You can get your point across bluntly, but gracefully. So again, I couldn't contain myself, so I commented, yes, every journey does deserve to be told, but with integrity. Now that's questionable, and I disagree that you operate with integrity. My own personal experience with your mortuary, anyway. Well, they blocked me. I had to laugh. If the truth hurts, so be it. Shouldn't be involved in underhanded, shady things, and I wouldn't have the truth to speak. Now would I? And I don't care who you're friends with, nor how long. A real friend would have never put you or your business in that situation. That devil was enticing, I'm sure. So enticing that you went against all morals and integrity and broke the law even. I also have lost friends because of that mortuary. because always, my whole life, I'm always that friend that pops up at the hospital, even if I haven't seen or spoken to that friend in 20 years. And I would always be at the mortuaries to pay my respects. My friends that know me would definitely know that that would most definitely be the times that they would see me. So if loved ones, friends, or relatives of friends have been at that mortuary, I don't go. I could never make myself walk back into that building, that mortuary. And for the longest time, I couldn't even drive down the side road by that mortuary, which is the main road in our town. And then when I would always get stopped at the stoplight right next to that mortuary, and my attention is always drawn to their cremation flute and the filter on top. Of course, my thoughts are always the same, even to this day. It wasn't supposed to be this way. And I always say, I'm sorry I was too late to stop it. And then I look at that filter on top of that flute, and I think, what was left of my mother was filtered through that into the sky. How do you explain this to anyone? Why you won't go to what was always considered my family mortuary? It's like an episode out of The Twilight Zone. Who would believe it, right? Again, I would probably have a hard time wrapping my head around it if it hadn't have happened to me personally. I know you've heard me say those words before many times and in many different episodes. The things I have had to endure, overcome, survive, and experience are not normal. Believe me, I know. This stuff doesn't happen to just everyone and anyone. Again, believe me, I know that too. I'm aware. But this is my journey, and what I now realize and understand, my journey was designed by God, just like we are created and crafted by God Himself. He makes us unique, one of a kind. Same with our journeys. Mine just happens to be, again, unique, one of a kind, full of a lot of obstacles and challenges, and with a lot of lessons and a lot of blessings too. And a lot of heartache and tears, but also it's a journey of a girl who learned to sway on those curves, ride the waves, overcome, bounce back, learn what I needed to, no matter how painful, and I learned how to heal myself and to survive. As I said in my last episode, this part of my journey, as traumatic as it was, sent me into a place that I didn't see coming, a place I didn't understand, didn't even know that it could happen to me. Trauma can do a lot of things, and the devil will use whatever and whoever to take you down, take you out of this game that we call life. This was a devastating, traumatic experience for me, the death of my mother, or as my aunt said, stuttering on that phone that day, her mother. Well, it would trigger me into so many ways, brought so much that I'd locked away, compartmentalized, straight to the surface. It was paralyzing, and instead of dealing with it, like I have the past 18 months, I suppressed it all even further. And with that, I had no idea, but those 3 days would be the most traumatizing days and would lead me into a place I never thought in a million years would be me or my life. I developed major anxiety and depression. It was the worst ever. Yes, in high school, I had a touch of anxiety, so I smoked weed. But anxiety back then, well, it stemmed from schedules, my OCD, of course, the traumas, and the expectations that were put upon me. Again, expectations were and still are put on me by others that they themselves can't even achieve or live up to, but have always, for some reason, thought and expected me to. Back then, I was a people pleaser. I wanted to make everyone else happy, do what others expected of me. So I do understand how I had anxiety back then. Of course, at that time, not even knowing what it was. It never stopped me from my daily schedule. It never stopped me from work or school. It wasn't crippling nor paralyzing, but what I was getting ready to experience was like nothing ever before. What I do know now, my own personal experience, I carried so much trauma, hurt, so much pain, dealt with so much, and was doing good managing a productive life. At least I thought I was. I had everything stored. I had it under control until the trauma of my mother's death, being robbed of that last conversation, getting answers from her, being able to let her know I forgave her a long time ago, giving us both some closure and, most important, peace. Then my mom being cremated illegally, my aunt and my uncle in the mortuary deciding to play God with my mother's remains. All of that sent me into a world of anxiety and depression. It was so severe, I can remember months at a time where I couldn't and didn't walk outside my front door, not even to check the mail, not even to go outside on the porch. Little did I know at that time that trauma and the actions that my aunt, my uncle, and that mortuary decided to take, again, without my knowledge nor my consent, well, it would change the course of my life, and my life would never be the same. One day I woke up and I was normal. The next day I woke up and everything had changed, and the direction of my life had changed. It had changed so quick and by no actions of my own, all by the choices and the actions of others, having the need to control, to hurt, and to destroy me, and letting greed override any morals or any laws. This concludes my podcast for today. Please join me Thursday as I continue back down that cold January day in 2020. And I leave the mortuary and I head straight to City Hall to report the illegal cremation of my mother. I had the paperwork and proof that a crime was definitely committed. But our good old boy system had already been given the heads up, and they knew I would be heading their way. Expected me even. Stay tuned. Again, please join me Thursday. Listen in, and always remember, your journey is not over. God bless.
God only knows what you've been through. God only knows what they say about you. God only knows how it's killing you. But there's a kind of love that God only knows. God only knows what you've been